Hey guys, today we're back here on the Honor Call of the Wild, and today we're gonna be ranking all 17 maps after the release of Askiy Ridge. And guys, I just wanted to start by saying that we are super close from reaching 28,000 subscribers, which is a really big milestone for the channel, so it would really help me out if you could like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Now guys, let me know in the comments what your top 5 favorite maps are. What are the 5 maps you play the most? I would love to know. Alright, so the first map on our list is a map that in the last couple years has gained a lot of popularity, and that is the Awaroa National Park. The main reason this map is so attractive to so many people is simply due to the fact that it is amazing for grinding. When it comes to grinding red deer, fallow deer, and even Himalayan tar, there's no other map that is better than this one. I wouldn't consider myself a huge fan of grinding, but whenever I've grinded on this map, I can definitely say it is way easier compared to any other reserve. You know, the fact the majority of the areas on this map are at the very least fairly open definitely makes hunting here a very enjoyable experience. The main downside though is that even though hunting here can be very enjoyable, the species variety is far from being the best. This map has a total of 10 species, which to be honest is not exactly great considering that only 2 of those 10 species are exclusive to the reserve, being this the chamois and the Sika deer. Not a great animal lineup by any means. I mean, many maps have many more exclusive species, but to be fair, the Awaroa is actually the best option to hunt the majority of these 10 species. It's not as bad as it may look. So taking everything into consideration, I would say the Awaroa deserves to be placed on the high B tier. Not a bad map by any means, but in my opinion there are many other maps that are way more enjoyable than this one, with many more exclusive species, and in my opinion, even though this map is outstanding for grinding, it is rather mediocre for everything else. Now guys, the next map on our list is another map that just as the Awaroa is also amazing for grinding, which is Medved Taiga. If I remember correctly, Medved Taiga was released with only 6 species, which at the time, and honestly at any time, it would have been a very low number of species, but luckily, eventually, I believe it happened a couple years ago, the introduction of the Grey Wolf and the Copper Kelly to a map definitely helped Medved Taiga gain a lot of popularity. This reserve currently has 8 species in total, with 2 of them being completely exclusive to a map, being this the moose deer and the reindeer. You know, having 2 exclusive species is not exactly impressive, just as in the case of the Awaroa, but the main advantage this map has is that again, it is great for grinding one particular species that has a great one, which in this case is the moose. To be honest, grinding moose on Medved Taiga can be a very enjoyable experience. The map is fairly open, it is super easy to spot the moose around the coast, around this big lake, and overall most areas where you can find the moose drinking are very easy to hunt and set up. This is the map where I managed to obtain my first great one moose, and I can definitely say I really enjoy that grind. And overall, even if we don't consider grinding as a factor to determine if this map is good or not, I would say that hunting here is a more enjoyable experience than on the majority of the reserves, simply due to the fact that the visibility is great on pretty much every single area. I mean, not on every single area, since there are also some relatively dense forests, but on the great majority of the locations, it is super easy to spot the animals. The only disadvantage though, as I said earlier, is simply a lack of a species variety. And it is also important to mention that even though this map is completely covered in snow, it doesn't have a dynamic weather system, which makes it feel outdated in comparison with Yukon Valley, Sundarpatan and Askiy Ridge that actually have a dynamic weather system where it actually starts snowing at random times. Very similar number of species compared to the Awaroa, but instead of being great to grind 3 different grade 1 species, it is only great to grind 1. So I think it's fair to place it on the B tier but below the Awaroa. I love this map and I love hunting on it, but I think it definitely needs a couple more new species in order to be considered among the A tier or even S tier at some point, who knows. Now the next reserve on our list is nothing else than Yukon Valley. Yukon Valley is for a lot of people, surprisingly, the best map on the entire game. I mean, I won't deny Yukon Valley is a very solid map, but saying it is the best map in the game, I would say it's going a bit too far. You know, the best thing about this map is essentially its beauty. I won't deny this reserve may actually be the most beautiful map on the entire game. It is undoubtedly a beautiful map, plus the fact it has a dynamic weather system where it actually starts snowing at random times is simply amazing. Seeing the green areas turn white in a matter of seconds is very unique to this map. However, even though this map is absolutely beautiful, it only has 8 species and only 3 of those 8 species are exclusive to this reserve, which is not a great thing. Here it is possible to hunt grizzly bear, harlequin dog, great caribou, plains bison, moose, grey wolf, red fox and Canada goose. This is definitely not an impressive lineup, but I won't deny that it is really fun to hunt many of these species here, especially the grizzly bears and the plains bison. Hunting grey wolves here can be very fun as well, especially when they go aggressive. Now guys, what I think is one of the biggest disadvantages this map has is that when it comes to grinding, it isn't precisely great. Grinding moose and red fox on this map, even though it isn't terrible, is definitely not great. It's simply not the best reserve to grind them. So everything considered, I would say that Yukon Valley, even without having the most attractive species rooster, deserves to be placed on the low 8 tier, mainly because it is the most beautiful map on the entire game. Plus hunting here is actually fun. Now this next reserve guys is honestly one of the most special maps for me, since it is here where I learned to play this game. What can I say about Hirschfelden? It used to be my favorite map for a long time. I love to hunt here, I love the music, I love the animals, I love the terrain, I love the difficulty of finding trophies here, and everything about this map is simply super nostalgic for me. I completely understand if many people hate this reserve, and I completely understand if many people say this is the worst map in the game, but I just can't agree. You know, this reserve is certainly not exactly open, it is actually challenging to hunt here, many areas are super dense, it is hard to spot the animals, the animal density is low, and the species lineup is again not great. 9 different species and only one of those 9 species is exclusive, which is the European bison. By the way, I love hunting European bisons, they are super easy and very fun to hunt. Great to make money. Now when it comes to grade 1 grinding, it is actually possible to hunt 4 different grade 1s here on Hirschfelden, which are the red deer, the fallow deer, the red fox and the pheasant. However, I would be lying if I say that this map is great to grind any of those grade 1s. It is actually maybe the worst, or one of the worst for each of these species. Grade 1 grinding is certainly not the strength of this map. This map is honestly a map that is perfect to just go out there, roam around the map and hunt. So yeah guys, objectively I have very few reasons to place Hirschfelden high on this ranking, but I won't deny I'm just a bit biased. I love this map, it is one of my favorite maps on this game. So even though I was about to place it on the A tier, I'ma try to stay just a bit objective and I'ma place it on the B tier. High B tier though. Yeah, high B tier, I love it. The next map on our list is nothing less than Mississippi Acres. When talking about unique maps, Mississippi Acres absolutely has to be part of the conversation. The music and the feeling of this map is, in my opinion, very unique. It really feels different to the rest of the reserves, but when it comes to the actual hunting experience, things are maybe not as great. They aren't terrible, but I would be lying if I say that Mississippi Acres is the map that I enjoy hunting the most. It is far from being my most enjoyable map. The species variety is decent, it has 10 different species, but only one of those 10 species is exclusive to the map, being this the alligator, the American alligator. But in my opinion, apart from the American alligator and the bobwhite quail, none of these species is truly exciting to hunt. And especially not when the majority of the areas on this map are super dense. The vegetation on this map is very thick on many locations, so hunting here can be quite tough, especially for beginners. I'm not a huge fan of hunting on this reserve, to be completely honest. I love to hunt quails and I love to hunt gators, but yeah, nothing apart from those species is truly attractive to me. So the fact this map is very far from being the most popular reserve is certainly not a surprise. And even less if we consider that this map is not precisely beautiful. Everything looks grey, it just lacks vibrance. So it's not the most beautiful map, not the most attractive species lineup, not the most attractive terrain. It's quite terrible for grinding, simply due to the fact that it is super dense, and for those reasons I would say this map deserves to be placed on the C tier. Not a great one. The next map on our list is Emerald Coast. Emerald Coast was released more than a year ago, and it came out with a great amount of 14 species in total, 8 of which were completely new. Among the new species we have the bunting, the saltwater crocodile, the stubble quail, the sambar deer, the hawk deer, the rusa deer, the magpie goose, and the kangaroo. The species rooster is honestly fantastic, so I've no complaints on that aspect. However, being this reserve based off such a mega diverse country, I wasn't expecting less. Hunting on this reserve is always fun, not only because of the species, but also because it's full of open areas where it's very easy to spot the animals, making it one of the best reserves to gain money and experience. A lot of money and experience. For example, one of the best hunts you can do here on Emerald Coast is to hunt crocodiles along the east coast. All along the coast. Fantastic area to gain easy money and experience, since the entire coast is littered with crocodiles, so you can make hundreds of thousands of dollars just hunting these areas in a matter of hours. Overall, I would say this reserve is without any doubt one of the best ones. It brought a lot of new species, and many of those new species are really fun to hunt. So I think it definitely deserves to be up there with the best maps in the game on the S tier. Very solid map. The next map we're gonna rank on this video is Rancho del Arroyo. Rancho del Arroyo is a very unique reserve that is located on Mexico, and for that simple reason it is already special for me, since that's my country. This map is desertic, it has a very simple layout, very simple terrain, mainly flat, but it also has some mountains with some forests, so the terrain variety is decent. There are multiple big lakes where it's super easy to spot the animals, and the animal variety is also decent. It has 10 different species, and 3 of those species are completely exclusive to the map. You know, here it is possible to hunt Mexican bobcat, antelope jack rabbit, Rio Grande turkey, which are exclusive, collar peccary, mule deer, white-tailed deer, pronghorn, pheasant, bighorn sheep, and coyote. It's not a bad lineup by any means. It is possible to get both the Great One Mule Deer and the Great One Whitetail here, and to be fair, this map is far from being a bad map to grind them. Maybe not as good as some other options, but it's not as bad as many people say. Many of the lakes where it's possible to hunt these species are fairly open and fairly easy to hunt. So don't sleep on Ranch if you wanna grind for either a Great One Mule Deer or a Great One Whitetail. It's definitely a solid option. So taking everything into consideration, I would say that Rancho del Arroyo deserves to be placed on the B tier, mid-B tier. Cuatro Colinas is one of the maps with the highest number of species, having 11 species in total, 7 of which are completely exclusive to the map. It is possible to hunt Iberian Mouflon, Iberian Wolf, PCT Ibex, Gritos Ibex, Southeastern Spanish Ibex, Ronda Ibex, roe deer, wild boar, pheasant, and European hare. This reserve is a very solid map, it's full of animals and full of open areas where it's very fun to hunt. You know, whenever you wanna find trophies, whenever you wanna find diamonds and rares, visiting this map is probably the best option. I don't think there's another reserve where I found more diamonds than here on Cuatro Colinas. The diamond ibex are probably the easiest diamond on the entire game. However, at the same time, the fact that some of these trophies are so easy to obtain drastically reduces the replayability this map has, and for that reason I don't think it deserves to rank higher than on the A tier. Nice map with several unique species, but in my opinion it can get old real quick. Now the next map on our list is Parque Fernando. Man, this reserve is honestly something different. This is probably my most played reserve ever. Like actually, it may be hard to believe, but back when I used to play on Xbox, where I have 2000 hours, Parque Fernando was the reserve that I used to play like 80 or 90% of the times. It was very hard for me to leave this reserve because it used to be full of diamonds, full of trophies, full of rares. This is actually the map where I got my first ever super rare, which was a melanistic puma, and it just brings back a lot of very positive memories. However, even though I can definitely say Parque Fernando used to be one of my favorite maps on this game, things are very different now. The fact that the majority of the species that used to be map exclusive here on Parque are now also present on other reserves definitely decrease the reasons to visit this map, especially if we consider that most of those species are in most cases easier to hunt on the other maps. You know, at the moment Parque Fernando has 8 different species, which is very far from being an impressive amount, and only one of those 8 species is exclusive, which is the cinnamon teal. Rather disappointing. They basically destroyed my boy. This map used to be very attractive because of all the exclusive, but currently the only reason to visit this map, apart from maybe hunting wild buffaloes along the coast, is to hunt cinnamon teals. And I mean, the cinnamon teals are cool, but they are just a dog. They are not enough reason for most people to buy and visit this map. And if we combine that with the fact that this map is not precisely open since it is full of vegetation, full of foliage, then Parque Fernando is far from being the most attractive option, to be completely honest. So in my opinion, I think Parque Fernando deserves to be placed on the C tier. On the C tier above Mississippi Acres though. Okay guys, the next reserve we're gonna rank on this video is Silver Ridge Peaks. In the last few years, Silver Ridge Peaks has been undoubtedly one of the most popular reserves on this game, mainly due to the fact that it is amazing for every single playstyle. It is amazing for grinding, it is amazing for a simple running and gunning playstyle, and it is amazing, especially amazing to gain easy mining experience because it's full of animals. Finding animals here is as easy as it gets. The map is super open, there are many areas with many hares, and the hares are normally big. You know, hunting species like pronghorn, plains bison, mule deer, rocky mountain elk, mountain goat, and black bears on this reserve can be a very enjoyable experience. And if we combine that with the fact that Silver Ridge Peaks still remains as by far the best option to grind for a great on black bear, I think it's safe to say that this reserve still holds its place as one of the best reserves on the entire game. It's super fun, and whenever I visit it I always have a good time. Nowadays, Silver Ridge Peaks has 9 different species, but only one of those 9 species is exclusive to the reserve, which is the Rocky Mountain elk. In most cases, having a single unique species would be a huge disadvantage, like in the case of Parque Fernando, but in this case, if we consider that silver-ridge peaks is actually the best option to hunt the majority of the species present on its lineup, I think it's still fair to place it high on this tier list. It would definitely be way better if it had more unique species, but still, it's an old map, and it still remains as one of the best reserves to hunt. So in my opinion, it deserves to be on the B tier, high B tier. It isn't as great as it used to be, but it's still very decent. You would really benefit from the addition of a couple more new species. As I've mentioned in some of my past videos, New England Mountains is really far from being my favorite reserve for multiple reasons. The first reason is that despite having 15 different species, only one of those 15 species is exclusive to this reserve, which is the bobcat. And to make things worse, this bobcat looks exactly the same as the Mexican bobcat that is present on Rancho. Exactly the same. That terrain on this reserve doesn't help neither. It is a difficult map to hunt due to the vegetation density, and the layout of the map is also quite mediocre since it is full of small lakes and rivers that make both grinding and hunting not as fun as it is on other reserves. The only truly positive thing about this map, in my opinion, is how beautiful it is. It is undoubtedly a beautiful map, but again, it is by no means among the best maps in the game. New England Mountains has 5 different Grade 1 species, which are the moose, the whitetail, the blacktail, the pheasant, and the red fox, but despite being initially promoted as a great reserve for grinding, the grinding experience here is honestly rather mediocre, mainly due to the map layout and how dense it is. So in my opinion, New England Mountains, despite being a beautiful reserve, deserves to be placed on the D tier. Yes, maybe the worst map in the entire game. I mean, for me it's definitely the worst map in the entire game. Which doesn't necessarily mean it is terrible, but if you compare them with the rest of the reserves, I think it is definitely the worst. Just not as good. Layton Lake is one of the 2 base game maps included on this game, and for that reason, just as Hirschfelden, it also holds a very special place on my heart, simply due to the fact that it is the second map I ever played and the map where I managed to get my first diamond ever, which was a white-tailed jackrabbit. Layton Lake has 9 species in total, with 3 of those species being unique to this reserve, which are the white-tailed jackrabbit, the Roosevelt elk, and the black-tailed deer. Hunting on this reserve can be a very fun experience independently if you are grinding or not. There are many areas that are full of animals, like for example this part of the East Coast right here, great place to visit. And overall it is just a beautiful map, very nostalgic, and the music is great. Now when it comes to grinding, Layton Lake comes with 3 different Grade 1 species, which are the moose, the whitetail, and the black bear. But to be completely honest, grinding black bears here is definitely not the best option. It is really far from being the best black bear grinding map, especially if you compare it with silver-ridge peaks. So if you decide to grind on this reserve, I would definitely recommend you to stick to either moose or whitetail, since this map is actually decent for them. I love Layton. You know, a lot of people say it is outdated on many aspects, but in my opinion, it is definitely still one of the best maps on this game, and definitely still worth playing even on the big 2025. It is absolutely still one of the best maps, so in my opinion, I would place it on the B tier, mid B tier. I love it. Vurhonga Savanna has been out for several years, and despite being very far from being a perfect African map, it still remains as one of the most unique maps this game offers. At the moment of its release, it received a lot of criticism because a lot of people complained that it didn't include things like lions, elephants. Well, you know how much people want to see the Big 5 added to a game. You know, 7 species in total at the moment of its release, without a single member of the Big 5 for an African map, is definitely not an impressive number, so a lot of people started leaving bad reviews on Steam, and eventually both the GameSpot and the lions were added. Nowadays, Vurhonga Savanna has 10 different species, 9 of which are completely exclusive to the map, making it one of the reserves with the greatest number of unique species. And I think the only thing that is preventing this reserve from gaining any serious popularity and being as popular as, for example, the Awaroa, Silver-ridge Peaks or Sundarpatan is that it doesn't have a Grade 1. If something like a Grade 1 lion or a Grade 1 key buffalo was added, Vurhonga Savanna would quickly become one of the most played maps by far. I have no doubt. Now, another of the problems I think Vurhonga Savanna currently has is that a lot of the animal models are starting to feel quite outdated in comparison with some of the models on the most recent reserves. Like, if you pay attention to both the fur and the textures on the animals, they are definitely quite inferior. So taking everything into consideration, I think Vurhonga Savanna is a very solid map, which is starting to feel outdated in some aspects, but the fact that it is so unique, having many different unique species, makes it deserve to be placed on the high B tier, below Silver-ridge Peaks. Now the next map on our list is nothing else than Salzwiesen Park. Salzwiesen Park is actually quite different to the rest of the reserves because it isn't really a reserve, it is a park, and it is quite smaller in comparison with the rest of the maps. Its reduced size combined with a great number of small game species this map has to offer definitely make it the absolute best small game hunting destination there is on this game. This map has 15 different species, including many dogs, upland birds, and class 2 animals like the red fox and the raccoon dog. When it comes to hunting small game species, the biggest advantage this map has compared to the rest of the reserves is the fact that most areas here are very open, making it ideal not only for casual hunting, but also for grinding, in this case for the great one pheasant and the great one red fox. I mean, this map is hands down the best option to grind for these two species, undoubtedly. Another of the things that makes this map very unique is the clay shooting range. This shooting range is located at the main lodge in Salzwiesen, and it offers the typical trap and skid modes, plus a random sporting mode on which the targets can be launched from any machine for maximum confusion and chaos. It's honestly super fun to use, and it is perfect to practice your shotgun skills, which are gonna be needed on this map. You know, a lot of people don't give these sort of things a lot of importance, but in my opinion it is something that adds a bit more uniqueness to this map. So taking everything into consideration, I would say that Salzwiesen Park, mainly because it is the best location to hunt small game species and the best location to grind for both the red fox and the pheasant, deserves to be placed on the A tier, mid A tier. Great map, it is honestly very fun to hunt here. Sundarpatan is the next map we're gonna run on this video, and what can I say? The map is beautiful, the music is amazing, the animals are very cool, it has 13 different species and 9 of those species are only present on this map, which I believe makes it the map with the highest number of unique species. The most amazing thing about this reserve in my opinion is definitely the fact that it makes possible to hunt both the Bengal tiger and the snow leopard while also giving us the chance to hunt other amazing species like the wild yak, the nilgai, the barasinga, and many more. The terrain on this reserve varies a lot depending on the region. For example, the southern part of the reserve is a tropical region, the central part is a more dense mountainous region that is quite rough, hard to hunt, and the northern part is a mountainous region that is very open and where it tends to snow a lot. It's just a beautiful map. Now, the biggest complaint a lot of people tend to have about this map is that it only has one great one species, which is the Himalayan tar, and grinding tar here can be a real pain due to how rough the terrain is on many of the areas where this species lives. For me this is not a problem because I'm not a huge grinder, but it's definitely something to consider. You know, I really love this map, I love the species, so in my opinion it deserves to be placed very high on the S tier, next to Emerald Coast. The small game galore, Revontuli Coast. Revontuli Coast has 19 species in total, making it a map with the highest number of species and a fantastic place to hunt small game. Here it is possible to hunt things like capercaillies, black grouses, rock ptarmigans, willow ptarmigans, hazel grouses, and a lot more. It's also one of the best reserves to grind for both a great one moose and a great one whitetail. Overall, this map is a fantastic place to hunt, whether if you wanna hunt small game or big game, it is full of open areas and it caters every single playstyle. You know, if your plan is to hunt waterfowl, this lower region, including this island, is fantastic, and if you wanna hunt other species like moose and whitetail, these lakes up here are also amazing. Revontuli Coast is undoubtedly one of my favorite maps on this game. I love to play here, I love to hunt bears, I love to hunt moose, I love to hunt whitetail. My playstyle is to simply run around the map shooting stuff, and this reserve is amazing for that. So for those reasons, being Revontuli Coast one of my absolute favorite maps, I think it definitely deserves to be on the S tier, one of the best maps on this game. Now to conclude this ranking, we're gonna go over the most recent addition to this game, which is Askiy Ridge. You know, to be honest, after playing Askiy Ridge for a while, I can definitely say this map is something very special. It has 19 different species, which is a very high number, and 8 of those species are exclusive to this reserve. You know, here it is possible to hunt American beaver, which is a very unique species, wood bison, woodland caribou, Manitoban elk, snow goose, wood dog, northern pintail, dusky grouse, mule deer, and many more species. This reserve is simply beautiful. It has a dynamic weather system that makes hunting here a very unique experience, especially when the snow deformation is enabled. The snow looks amazing, and the models on most of the exclusive species are stunning. You know, when it comes to hunting on this map, it is honestly great in my experience. The map is loaded with trophies, so finding diamonds and rares here is relatively easy, and it can also be considered a very solid option for grinding, especially when it comes to grinding mule deer. It is by far the best map to grind mule deer on this game. So taking everything into consideration, I would say that Askiy Ridge is a very solid map that definitely deserves to be placed on the S tier, next to Emerald Coast, Revontuli Coast and Sundarpatan. Alright guys, so this is the final tier list. As you can see, we have 4 maps on S tier, but we still haven't decided which of these 4 maps is actually the best one. Which of these 4 maps is actually the best map in the game, in my opinion. It is actually very hard to choose between these 4 because they are all great, but in my opinion, and many of you know it, Revontuli Coast, being the map that is perfect for the playstyle that I love the most, which is a running and gunning playstyle, has an edge over the others. So for me, Revontuli Coast definitely deserves the God tier since it is my favorite map on this game. I may be biased, but I don't care because it is my favorite map and it is objectively a great map. So anyway guys, that's gonna be it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and again, don't forget, if you enjoy this kind of content, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps a lot. Thank you for watching and see you next time.